When we discussed the Rebecca Triska case back in 1958, when the investigators are looking at who could have done this, and they obviously go on to find that they believe Frank Senk is the person who would have killed Becky Triska. But in the file, as you go through it, it refers back to another older case. Margaret Bankowski disappeared on January 27, 1949. She left her house to go visit a girlfriend who lived in Economy Village also. She leaves, goes to her other friend's house. The friend's sister tells her that she is ill and is in bed with a headache, and so Margaret decides to go visit another friend who lives down on 5th Street in Ambridge. She leaves there, but she never arrives at her other girlfriend's house. She's reported missing, and an investigation gets started, but it's not till 11 days later, on February 3rd, that a man who is walking his dogs up in what's called the slag dump area, sort of in Hopewell, South Heights part of Hopewell, and he finds her body. 4 years later, they arrested a woman by the name of Catherine Smutko for the murder of Margaret Bankowski. The reasoning behind the state police looking at Catherine Smutko was it was determined that Mrs. Smutko, who was married at the time, was having a relationship, a romantic relationship with Margaret Bankowski's father. The thought was that she wanted to get rid of Mrs. Bankowski, and it was determined that Margaret and Mrs. Bankowski were of similar size, wore the same clothes often enough, and that they felt that it was a mistake. She killed Margaret instead of Mrs. Bankowski, her intended target. The whole theory didn't fly to the judge. It didn't fly to the district attorney, Mr. Stewart, at that time, and it never even reached a jury. With what I can find, I don't see that Frank Senk was looked at during the Bankowski murder. But later, in 1958, when the Triska murder comes, it was determined that Senk had been a classmate and was in the same grade, 10th grade at that time, as Margaret Bankowski. Not only did he go to school with her, he also worked at that time in South Heights, and so he knew the area across the bridge. Where her body was found, there are some similarities in that case to the Triska case, where the body still has never been found, but to the Centralia case where Senk was convicted. The similarities in the case are the ages of the victim: Mary Jane Benfield out in Centralia, Becky Triska, and Margaret Bankowski. The ages are similar. They're all white females, all high school students, all definitely what he seemed to have interest in. Mary Jane Benfield's body was found in a strip mine area not far off of a highway. It's very similar to what was found in the Bankowski case. It's difficult to even find the reports, find any of the evidence involved in a case like this. If it was Senk, which there seems to be some belief, Senk is gone, he's dead. It would be very difficult to even find the other people who were witnesses, would have been used as witnesses during that time.